how it works. So let's so as you can see that what I've asked is I have asked to search for the flights, hotels for the 2-week trip from Atlanta to Paris from July 21st to 25, and also along with that I asked what are the local activity experience we can have it, and also along with the cultural experience must do at the destination, and be very specific like what are the dining options we can prefer, and together how much does it cost. So what it does here is like it just generates first it transfers the agent to the flight and goes with the planning, and the planning does make sure that what on options are available. It looks for the origin destination, and then and looking at it keep on searching all the recommended flights. You can see here like it search for the flights using the MCP server, and it's all real time, so you can book directly, and it also specify whether it's one stop or non-stop. And then once this is done, then it transfers the, and it also generates recommendations like what is the cheapest flight and what is the non-stop flight available. And once the flight agent is done, it travels to the it handovers to the hotel planner, and it does the same way. So it search all what are those hotel availables and recommendations, and then you can see here like it's all real time and how much does it cost for the one night, and then it advises what is the top recommendation hotels and what are the nearest nearby areas where we can visit. And then again transfers to the flight and hotel information, so it comes consolidates how much does it cost for the flights and hotel per stay, and then it calculates the entire recommendation. And then it asks us like if you're okay with that, what is the can pro or what is the total cost, and it can provide booking confirmation. But what I'm going to do is find looks it is already provided, maybe I have missed it. Yes, so yeah, it has already provided the recommendations. Okay, so I know, and it calculated the entire cost and it came around like 8,500, and it can say okay. So now what I'm going to do is just like address please. So this is just as like a payment simulation I just created. So it calculates the entire thing, the flight, hotels, and everything, and how much it costs around the entire trip. And it's going to show you the total display. And let's go into like how this entire workflows is happening. Like, so when I click here, like you can see here, like it just when the first thing when I asked for the look for the flight waging system, right? It looks for the flight booking system, and then go for the flight planner, and yes, you can see that it goes for the planner. And then once the planner is generated, then it goes for the search. So the search basically happens is through the MCP server and gives the response back, and then it goes for the flight advisor. And next, so it recommends what are the flight it can go, so it gives the response back to the flicking agent system. And then once that is done, it just transfers the agent to the if you see like it transfers agent to the hotel planner. So from here it transfers to the hotel agent, and then it does go through all the steps. So one thing what I've noted here is like I have used a memory here, like so that it can retain all my conversation history, what is needed as part of my documentation. I don't need to repeat in every time like what is my travel trip and what is my destination through this particular session ID. Now let's go back to the architecture. what I have used here. So if you see here, this is the overall architecture. So the user enters through the ADK chat window, and then and then I'm using the Google Agent Development Kit protocol, and I'm using Gemini to Flash LLM, and I'm also using additional tool as a memory tool so that I can retain all the conversation as I mentioned earlier. And together we have like 1 2 3 4 5 6, almost 8 specialized sub agents, one for the flight, hotel, activity, local, cultural discovery, and dining for reservation, and a support system in case of emergency, like if you're going abroad, and also booking coordination for simulation, payment, and the logistic coordination. So each agent has all three different planner, like planning, searching, and advisor, in same way for all other sub agents. And besides this, all the search is happening through one centralized MCP server. I'm using Bright Data as MCP here, which does web scraping as well as the search engine. And what it does is it looks towards each individual. When I look for the particular flight, right, it goes towards the Expedia flight search, and if I go for the hotel, it goes for the any of this booking.com. And same for relevant like travel and experience, like activities, hotel reservations, and all those. So it generates and gets a real-time data, and then generates as a response and output. Pretty much that's it. And let's go back to a coding, like what has been how it's being generated. So if you see, like, this is my decor, and I have like root level as AI Wanderize application. So what I have done here is like has separated into centralized tools. So this is my web scraping MCP server. I'm using Bright Data as I mentioned earlier, and the prompt. So for each root agent, I have created a separate prompt file so that it coordinates and it understands what are those sub agents, and it can easily transfer it whenever the user requests for. And this is the one. So here if you see, like, I have taken all the sub agent and I'm just calling through each of those, and then I call it as sub agents. And the one additional thing which I mentioned earlier is I'm using the load memory tool, which is comes natively with ADK. I had no need to capture specific any stage session. I can leverage as much as load memory tool, and then all the conversation history is retained as long as I'm not clearing the session ID. So the structure of each, let me go for each agent, is like if I have an agent, I have a prompt. So I'm making sure my prompt is as explicit as verbose, and also I'm making sure the formatting is same. So that it is always generating the same format what is intended. It's more intuitive. And talking about the sub agents, the specialized flight agent, what it does is like only the one particular search agent looks for those tool set, which is the MCP, which is picking up from the tools.py. And the main coordination is the flight booking system, which uses all the three sub tools and then uses the generated config. And I'm making sure that all it's more grounded information, like 0.5 I'm using. And pretty much it's not mandatory to use it, but I have used it. And pretty much all other agent have the same structures. So the key here is like you have to make sure that we have all those prompt as verbose as possible so that we get more accurate information, and also making all checks and balances, and the workflow is defined as requested. Okay, let's deploy the application. So I'm going through the same thing. I've just made a timeout from 60 to 180 seconds because the MCP web server, it scrapes multiple websites and then collects, aggregates the data and generates. So 60 seconds was not sufficient, so I increased to like 180 seconds. So I'm just rebuilding the image again, pushing the image to container registry, and then pushing it back to the cloud run. So let's give a couple of minutes. Okay, and that's all. So we are successfully able to deploy the application, and then let's check if it has started. Yes, 1843. Yes, it started. Let's give a couple more prompts, like let's specifically be like looking for the vegan restaurant in San Francisco. So transfer the agent, as you can see. So it goes for the dining recommendation, and it's going to get a detailed plan. So it's going to search for the location, the date, number of persons, and I was very specific, like vegan friendly. So let's see how it search. So let's see behind the scene what is typically doing. So it has already generated pretty much. If you can see, it has generated all the options. Let's check here. Yes, there you see. So you can see like it has given a list of options, and yes, I can go and select it if I want. So if I can reserve the tables, and then it will give you all specific recommendations where, and it also goes for the reservation agent using dining. And then this is a simulation I have used. I'm not using real time. So pretty much you can see like it has gone through all the search, and it's all real time. So let's through the options. Like if you see what's happening behind the scene, like we made a request and it's called LLM, and then it goes to transfer the agent, and then it goes for discovery agent, and then it search. And if you see, it is using all the tool search engine through the MCP. And if you see the last one, it merges all the request. This is one of the cool feature I like about ADK, is like I can trace it all my request and where it has been going. And also at the same time I can look only in the explorer, and I can look for the trace particular details.